Hey, it's Rick on the Rocks and Dad. We're doing our fantasy football quarterback draft special. Uh, Thanks everybody for tuning in. Was it last week that we did it?
Yes, we did.
The days are running
Well,
around.
I can tell you're going to be a big help today.
My daughter ran away as soon as I said, "What's up? What's up? What's
Yeah.
up?" My daughter just literally just went. So you can see my dirty dishes over there.
What are you doing?
Oh, there's dirty dishes.
You're driving me crazy.
Okay. There, that's perfect.
For who?
I don't know. So thanks to everybody. Actually,
You're in my space.
that was one of our most successful Rick on the Rocks and Dad shows of all time. So we appreciate you doing that for us.
And from the way this is starting, this may be the least successful one. We're off to a slow start.
I didn't realize they could see the kitchen, and I made a big Italian feast last night, and I still haven't cleaned up.
Well, that's nice. Just stop. Just move.
There we go. How's
totally
that?
out of the picture. I'll do the next. I'll do the next. I'll do the next 29 minutes, and we'll be fine.
So yeah, today we're going to be talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the fantasy drafts.
First of all,
mm-hmm.
I have a couple little items, housekeeping items I want to mention. One housekeeping item is this is the third week of preseason games.
Okay, yeah.
So beginning tonight, when I believe there's 4 games tonight, maybe 6 or 7 tomorrow, and no, it's I take that back. It's 6 or 7 tonight, 6 or 7 tomorrow night, tomorrow day and night, because the Bears are playing tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
And then about 4 games on Sunday. But normally this is the week that most teams play what they consider to be their starters for about the first half.
The A-list guys.
If you truly want to watch some teams and take a look at what they're looking like and certain players, why tonight would be the night. Although, from what I understand, a couple of the teams have already said that they're not going to play their players, so their top players. So Oakland, which with Gruden, you never know what he's doing, so who knows. But anyway.
He's a loop-de-loop.
I've already got my DVR set on recording tomorrow afternoon's Bears game, which for some reason they decided to play at about the same time that the Cubs are playing, just a few blocks away, so I don't know. But anyway, what do I know? So that's the thing. Watch those games. And I would schedule your drafts if you haven't already. Next week would be a good time to sort of get those out of the way. They'll play one more preseason game, but that's when all the scrubbies play.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of scrubbies.
Hey, I just shaved.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
So now would be a good time to start lining up your team drafts. So I've had one draft already, and gonna have a couple of more. And see, the crowds are starting to gather.
I know my daughter just stuck her head out. Yeah. I don't know why.
So this is terrific. All right, now. First off, I want to take a look.
Get to business.
Yeah.
Sir.
I want to take a look at last year's standings.
Oh,
just some of the top teams and the quarterbacks that are returning, since we're concentrating on that, and we can hazard a guess as how they might be doing. And at the top of the list, the AFC East, of course, we've got Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And even though they're cutting just about everybody so far in preseason, it's kind of weird. A lot of wide receivers have been cut, and nobody knows what they're doing. But in a division with the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, they're a shoo-in. And even though Brady's playing my age by now,
47th season,
yeah.
with the New England Patriots,
they should easily win that division. The AFC North is Pittsburgh and some other teams. So,
I see Brady sleeping in like one of those hyperbolic chambers to preserve his skin.
Oh, yeah. So Pittsburgh got Roethlisberger back. Le'Veon Bell is healthy. Antonio Brown, they're loaded again to score a lot of points if their defense is any good. So they should win the North.
And Le'Veon's going for that big check, so he's wanting to do real well.
In the AFC now, in the West, Kansas City which had a terrific season last year with Alex Smith at quarterback, is now turning things over to second-year player Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And we'll see how that goes. But they've still got Kareem Hunt at running back. They've still got Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver who never catches a ball for less than about 90 yards. And they also have Travis Kelce, who's probably the second best tight end in the league.
We're big Alex Smith fans.
So
we've used him.
No telling what they're going to. I mean, they're in the league with the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. So those teams probably this year will be pretty even. So that's up for grabs.
I wouldn't worry too much about the Broncos, but
no,
the other three teams will be interesting.
Who knows? Who knows with any of those teams? I think they're light years behind both the Steelers and the Patriots, and probably a couple other teams for that matter. But then in the NFC, the Eagles, of course, won the the East last year with Carson Wentz and Foles at quarterback, and Foles, of course, played in the Super Bowl.
It's Mikey Mitchell, a fellow Bears fan, Mikey Mitchell.
Yeah.
What's up?
They're not sure that Wentz is going to be ready for the start of the regular season this year. So Foles, who looked terrible last night, apparently. I didn't watch the game. The game last night, in case you didn't realize it, I won't even tell you the teams because it's embarrassing. Well, you know it's Philadelphia.
I'm agreeing with you, Mikey Mitchell. Mike says KC will take the West.
Let's just say the Cubs by themselves outscored both teams combined. So the game was 5-0.
What game was 5?
Really
what?
I can't make this stuff up. So you got them. Then you got Dallas, who doesn't look good at all. No. Redskins, I don't know. Who knows what the Redskins are going to do? They've got Alex Smith at quarterback, so how bad can they be? They've got some good players and good offensive players. NFC North, the Bears division. See, I've got a Bears hat on. Ready to go. I think Minnesota is
by far
the creme de la creme with that division. They went out and got Kirk Cousins from Washington, and they should be much improved. They have Adam Thielen, terrific wide receiver.
Loving Thielen.
Yep. We rode him last year in fantasy.
That love and feeling.
Really?
That was good, right?
I rode Adam Thielen in weekly and daily fantasy, and they just have a real nice team. And
they're fun. They're fun. Being a Bears fan, I mean, Minnesota's fun to watch. Minnesota's a really
and Dalvin
good team.
Cook looks to be Dalvin Cook before he got hurt last year was having just a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
He's one of those running backs
on par for a record season.
Not only runs, but he catches the ball out of the backfield. He's healthy. They look really good. The NFC South is probably.
What about the Packers? What do you think about the Packers?
I don't know. I'll be quite honest.
It's an up in the air thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers on most draft boards is still the number 1 or 2 quarterback. In all the drafts, which is at this point hundreds of thousands of drafts have taken place. Rodgers.
I just don't even know what to think about that team. Like I have no.
I don't
clue.
think anybody does. But last year they didn't have what they finish up last year? 7-9, and yet Rodgers had a terrific season, and he was hurt some. So it's hard to say. The Lions with Matthew Stafford. I actually have Matthew Stafford as my quarterback in the one team. He's ranked top 5 in a lot of rankings. He puts up a lot of yardage. And
is he coming to the end of that big fat contract?
I don't know how long that big fat contract goes for. I mean, who knows? Some of these contracts are stretching them out because of salary cap. And then, of course, like I said, you have the South where you got the Saints and the Panthers. I just don't like the Carolina at all. I'm not a big Cam Newton fan.
I know. I don't get Cam Newton. I mean, I went to college in North Carolina, and I've got a lot of friends that are diehard Carolina fans.
Yeah.
I don't get him. I don't
And
get it.
Drew
Any of it.
Brees, while we were making fun of some aging quarterback, Tom Brady, Drew Brees is actually 39 years old.
Okay.
But with Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas
Yeah.
and Melvin Ingram, once he comes off a 4-game suspension, they're going to score a lot of points again. So I don't know. There you go. Those are some.
But their problem is always the defense.
Yeah.
Drew Brees has to put up 40 points or 41 points a game. You know, the offense does.
Phillip Rivers for the Chargers. I've always liked
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers. Same thing.
Boy, just awful in the playoffs.
If he scores 45, if he gets 45 points on offense, him and the rest of the offense, while the defense gives up 50 or so. I mean, it's just
No, it's bad.
there's just a lot of question marks again this year, just like every year. You don't know what's going to happen. One key injury, and not necessarily to a quarterback, but
Well, when we were talking before the show started, and I was looking at, and Dad had it on a broader spectrum, so I'm going to put it down to a smaller spectrum. Top 20 players according to ESPN to draft, 9 of them are quarterbacks. So these are the guys that you're counting on to get you your 16 to 20 some odd points every week. These are the guys you're counting on. If you break it out to 40, the top 40, what do you say, 21?
21 are quarterbacks. These are projected scorers, let's put it that way, points in fantasy. Top 40, 21 of them are quarterbacks.
And one was very interesting to me because I want to say one of the first years that we did fantasy, we had Andrew Luck. And I want to say that it was his first season in the NFL. And he came out swinging. Did an amazing job. Well, of course, didn't play last year. He's one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks to pick up this year.
And I'll tell you what.
Do you think he's healthy? I don't know that he's healthy.
I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't draft him. There is no way.
I think that's really, I know they sit down, the analysts, and they've got their figures and formulas and blah, 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 blah. But no, I kept looking through and I kept seeing it. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know about that. And so I would tell all of you, if you're thinking about that, and I do have a lot of friends that are Indy fans, I don't know that I'd do that. I'd hold off. I'd let him play a few weeks and see what happens. Because we've never had to see him come back from something like this. So
the last preseason game that Indy played, he played quite a bit. And apparently, I didn't see the game. Apparently, I know what the stats were, and I heard people talking about it. So apparently, he played pretty well, but he's coming off missing an entire season. Yeah. They don't have much of a team with him. I mean, how many times can he throw to T.Y. Hilton? 200, or something, But so, or hand it off to Frank Gore, who frankly is as old as I am also. Terrific running back, may end up in the Hall of Fame, but the guy's got to be, approach a lot closer to 40 than he is 30, and I just don't get it. So,
all right. So what's next on next? What we're thinking?
Well, one other thing with these projections we were looking at that you were quoting from. The neat thing is, or the interesting thing is, that the point projections for ESPN for this season have Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh running back, Todd Gurley,
which we said last
Rams running back, David Johnson, who missed all but 4 games last season, was it 3 games? Arizona running back, and then Antonio Brown, the Pittsburgh wide receiver. Notice that 2 out of 4 are from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
if that'll give you a clue of which direction I'll be going certainly in my daily my daily fantasy stuff. You throw those two guys in with Roethlisberger if you can afford them.
Yeah.
But then you got Brady, Rodgers, Cam Newton, Ezekiel Elliott, Russell Wilson, Julio Jones. I wouldn't trust Julio Jones either. Every time I used him last year, he burned me.
But no, he's one of those that have crappy game for 2 or 3 games and then come out and blow up.
Yeah.
And then have another crappy 2 or 3 games and then blow up. Like he had it was hard to gauge like what he was going to do.
I like Matt Ryan. I like Devontae Freeman. I like some of the other parts they have on that team. But Julio was a drop machine last year. He was like, I'll tell you who he was like. And the two of them had similar seasons, I think. Odell Beckham.
Oh, yeah. No, that's actually really good.
Who, by the way, is getting his ginormous contract from the Giants, apparently. He showed up for all the preseason practices to show that he's totally reformed from his craziness. And so they're all set to reward him for that. And too bad, so sad. But
boys, that game, that team is a hot mess.
Yeah.
Jim Safford in the house.
So anywho,
Mr. Mephisto.
Yeah. One other thing here.
Thanks for showing up.
Quickly. I have taken the ESPN, the NFL.com, primarily Michael Fabiano's rankings, and Yahoo rankings for quarterbacks, and I have the top 20 here. Now we're not going to sit here and read you all of them, but
you're even yawning about the top 20.
No. Normally what I do, let's talk about strategy, okay?
Strategery.
There, believe it or not, even when I've had Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, now that I'll have some other quarterbacks this year, who knows who they may be. I've already got Matthew Stafford, I know, on one team. But there are times that depending on what defense they're going against and how their team is playing, that I might put somebody in for a week, some different quarterback.
Sure. Yeah.
That happens quite often.
So a lot of people won't do. Sorry,
just like defenses, you have to rotate your defenses. One of the first things I did after the draft was over is I switched out one of the players I drafted for a second defense. So I've got 2 defenses on the team. So, and I'll switch them in and out, and I'll probably
my good friend Josh Hicks.
Probably grab some other defenses while I'm at it. Quarterback is no different. That's where Alex Smith comes in handy. Someone like Alex Smith. We used Alex Smith, Rick and I,
a lot.
I think every season
that
we've done fantasy, we've had Alex Smith on our team.
Somebody you can always count on him.
Yeah. And if you take a look at his
and there were wow.
Take a look at his record.
The interns, sup, Josh? Interns need to fix that.
Through the years.
He was one of those guys that even, like, when he'd be our backup quarterback, we get pissed because if we had him on the bench, he'd end up with like 30 points, and our guy had 16.
Yeah.
So, like, you talk about somebody like in your arsenal, somebody you like always have your back. It's Alex Smith.
And I think what's going to happen is he's going to continue to do that with the Redskins because that's the type of quarterback he is.
I think they're just going to handle it and be like,
he isn't a big play guy. He's not going to throw the ball 60 yards down the field like an Aaron Rodgers or even a Brady. He's going to dink and dunk. He's going to keep the
He's more into
moving,
the strategery.
And he's going to pile up fantasy points.
Oh, yeah.
Which is obviously what you're looking for when it comes to a quarterback. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Jim, who do you root for? You're more of a college football guy. I know you're obviously an FSU fan, but do you have a big NFL team that you and also Josh Hicks, growing up in Arkansas? Who are we talking about? Who are we rooting for?
Well, so anyway.
I like that segue.
Yeah. So just be aware of that when you're drafting. I don't know that I would take 2 quarterbacks in my initial draft, but what I would do, is go back and see what quarterbacks are still available. Because in a 10-team league, there's only going to be 10 quarterbacks drafted, basically. Someone might draft 2, but it's highly unlikely. There's really no reason for it because you can't. Most leagues, there are some 2-quarterback leagues, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a standard 10-team league where you have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and 2 wide receivers, a utility player, tight end, kicker, and defense. That's what you have. So
well, we do the same. Our defense, we might go through 8 or 9 different defenses in the season, easy. Just because we might snag a defense that we never think about, but they're playing a weak team or a team that's on like a really bad losing streak. And that's how we play. And not a lot of people do that, but I will tell you this, over the last 5 seasons, we've either ended up in the constellation of the championship game, 5 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
And have had a 9-game win streak in fantasy football, which is hard to do.
Oh, we did that last season.
Yes, we did.
Wow,
We did. We
were terrific.
Lost the first 2 games, won the 3rd game.
Oh yeah, we looked like we were in.
Lost the 4th game.
We looked like we were in the
and
tank.
then won 9 games straight, and we ended up in the championship game.
Winning it by 0.9.
Yes, we did.
Yes. As far as drafting quarterbacks or ranking quarterbacks are concerned, there is one big question mark this year in the top 5, I would say, and that is Deshaun Watson, the former Clemson quarterback who started out last year at Houston, doing all kinds of stuff that's never been done before, both running and passing. And before he got hurt and missed the rest of the season, which was a shame. And as much as I dislike Clemson, they've become our arch enemy for Florida State.
Oh, yeah.
But that guy is talented, and
yeah, he is.
So
they couldn't have J.J. Watts play every position.
Yeah,
they had to go out and find some more players.
And of course, Watts missed most of the season. So there's a team for you, Houston, that they don't know what they're going to do.
So Josh is a Seahawks guy now. Yeah.
If you get
him and I go through this. The Seahawks look like they're not going to get into the playoffs, and then go.
Well,
and all of a sudden they're in the thick of things.
Since we're talking quarterbacks, it's the Russell Wilson factor.
Doesn't he score all of their points? Like literally?
Oh, yeah. He does everything for them. He passes, he runs, I'm sure he'd play defense if he could.
What was the stat that you showed me last year? He accounted for
80%
something of their points, something like some insanity
number.
I was like, that can't be right, and we started looking at it.
No, because he either runs the ball and for big yardage when he scrambles, he'll score touchdowns on designed runs or scrambles, and he passes for touchdowns to his sometimes less than adequate receiver.
Josh says he carries that team like a turtle. Well, and the thing is, and he does everything that Cam Newton wants to do, but he's not a bitch about it. Cam Newton is
really cool.
Has no sportsmanship at all. He's an awful example for all of the children that want to play football. You should never be like Cam Newton. Go be like Russell.
Yeah. Russell is a terrific player. We at Florida State, we played against him a couple seasons when he was at North Carolina State. And then after he graduated, he transferred to Wisconsin and played a year there very successfully before he got drafted. So, no, Seattle with Russell Wilson. The problem is I don't know what they're doing out there. They've let some top defensive players over the last couple seasons. They've alienated all their best defensive players, and most of them have left. They signed Jimmy Graham a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever the heck it was, and then barely threw to him. And they threw to him more this past season.
Yeah, they did.
So I don't know what they're doing.
I like Jimmy Graham.
So we shall see. But as long as you've got Russell Wilson. And the same with Rodgers. If you take a look at the team that Rodgers had around him this last season, I mean, they ended up, 7-9.
7-9.
And
it's their worst record in quite a few years.
Yeah. but he had nothing to work with.
No.
Yet
zero.
his statistics were still through the roof, like they are every year, and that's what you're looking for. So, but the top five, let's see, Michael Fabiano, who is the top fantasy guy at NFL.com. His tier one quarterbacks are Rodgers, Brady, Wilson, and he's got Watson. So number two is tier two quarterbacks, and
Who does
are
Aaron
Cam
Rodgers?
Newton, believe it or
Oh,
not.
God, stop it! I can't hear that name anymore.
And then
Who does Aaron Rodgers date?
Carson Wentz.
Does Aaron Rodgers, is he one of those that dates a supermodel?
The what?
Does Aaron Rodgers date like a supermodel or something?
Aaron Rodgers is now dating Danica Patrick. Yeah. Before that, it was Olivia Munn. I'm up on these things.
So these quarterbacks, they go and get themselves a hot chick.
Russell
and they-
Wilson
and
is
they do
married
pretty-
to Ciara.
Yeah, and they do pretty well. I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of the.
Yes, they do. That's why
Maybe that's one of the keys
Yeah.
of the kingdom right there. Is
Yeah.
if
you play quarterback.
quarterback,
Good,
go get
that's
yourself a
good.
hot chick, because if not, things they're just not going to work on the NFL for you.
Yeah. So anyway, Newton and Wentz are tier two, and then tier three is Cousins,
Okay.
Kirk Cousins, with the Vikings, and you take a look at what they've got now, and
They've got a lot of tools.
they have a great tight
I mean
end.
that in a bad way, even though I'm embarrassed. I
Yeah.
mean they've got a lot of ammunition
Yeah,
in
they've
that
got a
in
great
that one. Yeah.
catching tight end, Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah.
A couple great receivers, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. And then with Dalvin Cook back at running back.
I know Jim. Jim, he's like a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah,
Jim's like he even knows who the players are banging.
yeah. So, well, you have to keep up on these things. You know, you know, you have to be well prepared. You
We
never
do our
know.
best. We do a lot of research here.
Yeah.
The Rick on the Rock show.
Besides,
Dad.
nothing's going on in the NFL right now that's worth talking about.
We pay
So-
these interns damn good money.
Oh yeah, to get us all these terrific stats.
Is that right, interns?
Yeah. So, but anyway, Fabiano's level three is Cousins, Stafford, Breeze, Luck, Garoppolo,
I was surprised. Okay.
who
Yeah,
I would
I was.
not draft either.
No, I was
um,
surprised about Garoppolo.
Take a look at his numbers from last year, and
I do love his. Love his sister.
So
She's a great comedian, Janine Garoppolo.
no, that's not.
Oh, that's not. She's so funny. She was great in Reality
Yeah.
Bites.
Roethlisberger and Rivers. And then finally is tier four is Jerry Goff from the Rams, Mahomes from Kansas City, Alex Smith, the Redskins, who I think is way, way too low. Dak Prescott for the Cowboys, who I wouldn't touch. The Cowboys have nothing out there.
No, they don't have a damn thing.
They have a running back, and that's it. And then Mariota, and Ryan. It's hard to imagine that Matt Ryan and that offense has fallen that low, but I don't know. We'll see.
They're
And
another.
Mariota,
They're another one that'll show up all of a sudden and win like 6 games straight. I mean, the Falcons are an enigma to me, and have been for quite a few years.
I still believe if Mariota was with an offensive-minded team with a decent offensive coordinator and a few weapons to go with him, that Mariota would be certainly a top 10 quarterback and maybe higher than that if he could stay healthy. Of course, that's a caveat for any of them if they can stay healthy. He's got terrific talent, but he's just that team, Tennessee, they just plod along.
Yeah.
He gets hit hard over
Yeah,
and over
he
and
does.
over again.
They're not an interesting team to watch.
No.
They just the coaching's bad. It's just bad.
So I don't know. Quarterback's a funny thing. It's despite what all the fantasy gurus tell you, I would if I'm drafting 6 through 10 initially, and Antonio Brown is gone, and Le'Veon Bell is gone, and David Johnson's gone, and all, I'd grab a quarterback and then turn right around and the next, whether I drafted.
You're gonna set off a chain reaction.
Yeah, then
And that'll free you up to grab some other really good players.
yeah. there'll be plenty of running backs available, wide receivers.
Because grabbing that quarterback, like, is going to set off a chain reaction. Everybody's going to go ape and freak.
And depending, I mean, if you are down at the bottom of the first round, say 8th or 9th or 10th,
yeah,
by the time it gets to you, somebody may have already taken a quarterback, and that's
True.
been my experience.
Oh yeah.
Despite what the gurus say that don't draft the quarterback till the 4th round, and if you watch the ESPN mock draft things that the people who work at ESPN do, they'll all wait till the 4th round. I'm not sure why, but they do.
Stupid.
And then you take a look at the numbers that show you the quarterbacks are in the top.
Let us on one of those shows. We'll set everybody straight.
Yeah, well, I don't want to set them straight. I want them to do whatever.
I know we want to keep beating their asses.
That's right. I just want to keep winning leagues. That's all.
All right. Well, this is the end. Rick on the Rocks.
It's not the end.
Quarterback.
This is just the beginning.
Oh,
this
yes.
is a warm-up.
This is a warm-up for the second season of Rick on the Rocks and Dad.
Yeah.
Our fantasy football extravaganza.
And we appreciate all the positive feedback.
Yes, all the
week.
love last week and all the love this week
We
that
were
we
supposed
got.
to be here Wednesday this week,
Yep.
but we had some.
I've been waiting on a TV. True story, hand to God. It's now, the TV's now in Orlando. Don't know why.
Yeah.
It decided to hitch a ride.
Yeah. Well,
It's traveling with fish.
yeah.
You know.
Whatever.
Yeah, I've been waiting on a TV to do a video.
So-
it's just horrible.
We'll
so
give it another shot this coming Wednesday.
we'll
at
try to
3
do
o'clock
Wednesday at 3
Eastern
o'clock
time.
Eastern Standard Time for Rick on the Rocks and Dad.
And then we can probably take a look at maybe predicting who
we
what
wanna do-
teams we like.
We want to do Wednesday because once we get into the season, you've got to pick your players for Thursday. We want to get you set up. That's why we're looking at Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Even though I got to be honest, Fridays have been nice. It's a great way for us to roll into the weekend. So maybe we need to come up with another thing for
A thing?
Friday at 3. I don't know. Say anything. We can do 10, 15 minutes. We can do shtick.
Yeah.
Do
We
do movies or
We're good.
something.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're funny.
All right. Well,
People
thanks so
like
much,
us.
people. You're good enough.
People
You're
like
smart
us.
enough.
Yeah.
Doggone it, people like you.
Yeah. Stuart Smalley.
So
Yeah.
everybody have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Be safe. Much love.
Yeah, there we go. Just drag that.